Look, psychology didn't invent the toxic person. Machiavelli, writing The Prince 500 years ago, was just describing the high-stakes political operators who would burn the world to save their own skin. He was describing the psychopaths and the narcissists of his day, the people who saw others not as human beings, but as obstacles or tools. The Prince knew about toxic people 500 years before psychology existed. My job was always about anticipating the next move. When you're dealing with a true high-stakes manipulator, the kind who can destroy your career, your finances, or your sanity, you can't rely on being nice or being right. You need a cold, hard strategy. You need the playbook written by the original master of power games. We're taking Machiavelli as principles and applying them to the two primary dangers you face, the narcissist and the psychopath. If you misapply the law, if you use a psychopath's rule on a narcissist, you will suffer the consequences. Pay attention. Let's start with the most dangerous creature to your social standing, the narcissist. This is the golden rule when dealing with a fragile ego. The narcissist's entire existence is built on the belief that they are the most important, the most talented, and the most successful person in the room. The moment you outshine them, through a better idea, a promotion, or even a public compliment, you become an existential threat. They will neutralize you, often with terrifying speed and petty, vindictive cruelty. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah worked under a textbook narcissistic manager. Sarah closed the biggest deal of the year and was publicly praised. The manager didn't congratulate her. He immediately stripped her of her key project, citing lack of focus, and spent weeks subtly undermining her in meetings. Why? Because her success exposed his own mediocrity. The tactic. When you deal with a narcissist, the key is to be an excellent reflector. Make your achievements look like they are a direct consequence of the narcissist's superior guidance, wisdom, or brilliance. Present your win as their genius realized. Give them the public credit and keep the private reward. Reflective question. Do you instinctively want to publicly correct their mistakes or claim credit for their failures? If so, you're giving the narcissist the knife to stab you with. The rules change entirely when you face the psychopath. They don't care about being outshined. They only care about efficiency and control. Their ego is not fragile, it is unshakable, which makes them far more dangerous. Your success is only an issue if it blocks their objective. The psychopath's greatest advantage is predictability. They profile you, your wants, your fears, your predictable moral compass, and then they create a perfect plan to exploit it. If they know what you want, they will weaponize it against you, offering the carrot while preparing the stick. The strategy. You must become ambiguous and unreadable. Never reveal your emotional drivers, your vulnerabilities, or your precise goal. If they ask what you want from a negotiation, frame your answer in terms of their benefit, or better yet, keep it vague. Your emotions are data points they will use to plot your demise. Let me tell you about Victor. Victor was a sophisticated corporate spy. He exploited his targets by convincing them he was their most passionate ally in achieving their dreams. He'd spend months talking about the need for justice or ethical business. The moment they revealed their true intention, a secret merger, a whistleblower plan, he'd take that information and sell it to the highest bidder. He offered them the dream and stole the blueprint. Practical application. If you are dealing with a suspected psychopath, your internal mantra should be low utility, high friction. Never let them know the path to your bank account, your deepest secrets, or your moral weak spot. Do you find yourself oversharing your goals and passions with a person who seems a little too interested? Stop talking. Now. This next law is universal. It protects you from the emotional volatility of the narcissist and the cold consequences of the psychopath. This means two things. First, never descend to their level. Do not get dragged into the mud of their lies, their smear campaigns, or their emotional volatility. The moment you start fighting back with their own dirty tactics, you give them the ammunition to portray you as the true villain. The narcissist will use your reaction to prove you're the unstable one. The psychopath will use your recorded misstep as future leverage. Second, always maintain an objective distance. Do not allow yourself to become emotionally entangled in their narratives, the narcissist's self-pity, or the psychopath's pity play. Emotional attachment is the fuel for their manipulation. Let me tell you about George. George was facing a malicious divorce from a narcissistic ex-wife. She was using their child as leverage, sending vile, abusive texts designed to provoke him. He initially fought back, sending equally angry messages. She compiled his texts as proof of his instability and used them to gain custody advantage. The moment he switched to gray rock, using only short, factual, documented responses, her tactic failed because she had no reaction to use. The psychopath application. The psychopath will often try to lure you into small ethical compromises, a lie to the boss, a quick theft of information, to implicate you. The moment you do their dirty work, they own you. They can then threaten to expose you, guaranteeing your compliance. The rule: your integrity is your last line of defense. When they hand you a shovel, decline it and step away from the hole. You must be able to say with a clear conscience that you acted with objective ethics. Do you feel the need to argue with their ridiculous narratives? That need is the bait. Resist it. We need an additional rule drawn directly from the investigative playbook, tailored for the ruthless pragmatism of the psychopath. The psychopath operates on a cost-benefit analysis. They will only pursue a target if the reward is high and the friction is low. They are lazy predators. They seek the easiest, most convenient victim. If you make the exploitation of you complicated, time-consuming, or legally risky, they will move on. The strategy: introduce massive, visible friction into your life. 1. Documentation. Document everything in a public, accessible way. Leave a paper trail that points directly to them. 2. Witnesses. Never meet with them alone. Always have a lawyer, a trusted colleague, or a witness present. They hate an audience that isn't under their control. 3. High accountability. Make it clear that any action against you will result in an immediate, public, and expensive legal response. Let me tell you about Agent C. Agent C had to interview a dangerous criminal with psychopathic traits. He didn't try to appeal to the man's non-existent feelings. Instead, he simply laid out a series of documented, legally damning facts and showed the criminal the list of witnesses ready to testify. The criminal confessed immediately. Why? Because the friction became too high. The cost of continued denial was too great. Practical application. If a psychopath is trying to get money from you, don't argue with them. Simply reply, "All financial matters must now go through my attorney, John Smith." You've just raised the friction from 0 to maximum, and they will likely discard you for a softer target. Is your life organized in a way that protects you from cold, surgical exploitation? If not, the psychopath sees an open door. Machiavelli understood that people are moved by two forces: fear and self-interest. We use this principle to manage their pathology. You can temporarily manage their behavior by feeding the beast, but you must do it on your terms and with a controlled dosage. For the narcissist, controlled, targeted flattery is a temporary peace offering. It's like tossing a small piece of meat to a constantly barking dog. Acknowledge their brilliance or their leadership on a small, non-threatening thing. This calms the anxious ego and keeps their defensive mechanisms dormant for a little while. This buys you time to execute your exit plan. For the psychopath, this is harder. You play to their need for utility. You can get their temporary cooperation by convincing them that cooperating with you is the easiest and most profitable path to their goal. You make yourself the highest utility option. The caveat: this is a short-term management tactic, not a long-term solution. You are not healing them, you are distracting them. The moment you are done with them, the distraction ends. Let me tell you about Mark. Mark had a narcissistic superior who demanded an impossible amount of work. Mark started his conversations by saying, "I just need your brilliant insight on this small problem." The flattery calmed the ego, and the boss would then give a simple, less taxing task. Mark used the flattery as a currency to buy his way out of chaos. The risk: if you flatter the narcissist too much, they will become addicted and demand more. If you convince the psychopath you're too useful, they will never let you go. Controlled doses are essential. Are you using their own weakness as a tool to control the interaction? That is the Machiavellian way. Narcissists are not just hungry for praise, they rely on others, feeling eternally indebted to them for their greatness. This is a crucial control mechanism. The narcissist performs grand gestures, the expensive gift, the loud public defense of you, the dramatic sacrifice, not out of genuine love but to create a debt of admiration that they can cash in later. The payment is your unwavering loyalty, your total focus, and your agreement to never challenge their self-image. The strategy: reciprocate immediately and precisely to neutralize the debt. If they give a grand, unwanted gift, give them a simple, appropriate gift in return. If they praise you loudly, return the praise for a small, non-essential thing they did. You must ensure the emotional ledger is always balanced. Let me tell you about Carla. Carla's mother was a narcissist who bought her an outrageously expensive car, then used the car as leverage for every life decision Carla made. After all I've done for you, Carla's mistake was accepting the gift without immediately setting a boundary. When Carla finally tried to pay her back, the mother refused the money. The payment wasn't financial, it was emotional control. The rule: when a narcissist attempts a grand gesture, recognize it as a transaction, decline the gesture, or neutralize the debt immediately. Do not allow them to hold your gratitude hostage. Are you struggling to break free because of all the good things they've done for you? You need to pay the debt in the currency of your freedom. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved, but most importantly, he wrote that the ruler must survive. Your survival means knowing when to disengage permanently. The most Machiavellian thing you can do is to recognize a losing game and exit before you lose everything. There is no honor in staying with a predator until they consume you. For the narcissist, you walk away the moment you realize that your entire life is devoted to managing their image. The relationship is no longer about mutual growth, it is solely about preventing their next tantrum or finding their next source of supply. The cost of managing their ego exceeds any benefit. For the psychopath, you walk away the moment you realize you are a tool for their objective, and that objective is nearing completion. You are most vulnerable right before the final extraction. Once they have what they want, they will discard you with brutal finality. The strategy: the swift, permanent exit. You must plan your departure in complete secrecy, execute it with swiftness, and make the separation absolute. Let me tell you about James. James was in a business partnership with a psychopath. James discovered the psychopath's illegal scheme and realized he was about to be implicated. James didn't confront him. He spent 2 weeks secretly transferring his assets, resigning from the company citing health reasons, and moving to a new city. He made his exit clean, quick, and unannounced. He made the cost of tracking him down too high for the psychopath to bother. Final test. If you woke up tomorrow and they were gone forever, would you feel despair or immense relief? If the answer is relief, you should have walked away yesterday. The laws of Machiavelli endure because human nature, especially its darkest corners, does not change. Your life is your own kingdom, and these toxic people are simply invaders. Here is how you apply this cold, hard wisdom in the final moment. Machiavellian law, narcissist application, psychopath application. Law 1. Outshining. Delegate credit. Always publicly attribute your success to their influence. Ignore. Your success is irrelevant unless it hinders their goal. Law. 2. Intentions. Overshare superficial needs. Talk about what you want. Conceal core drivers. Never reveal your true vulnerabilities, moral lines, or secret goals. Law. 3. Clean hands, document, and gray rock. Never engage in the drama or name-calling. Maintain integrity. Never do anything illegal or unethical for them. Law. 4. Play needs. Feed controlled flattery. Toss them a small, non-threatening compliment to buy time. Be high utility. Make your compliance the most efficient path to their objective. Law. 5. Walk away. Exit in silence. Leave when the cost of managing their ego is too high. Exit with friction. Leave when they are about to complete their goal, and make your abandonment costly. You're not fighting a lover or a colleague, you are fighting a pathology. You need a set of rules that prioritizes your survival over your feelings. Machiavelli gives you that. Be cold, be calculating, and be free. Would you like me to generate the supporting content package based on this script?